Hey everybody, welcome to another fabulous, fine, fun edition of Moron vs. Fanboy. I'm one of your hosts, Lon Lopez from MoronLife.com.
And I'm Derek McCaw from FanboyPlanet.com. We are two self-styled pop culture experts offering you our opinion until the Empire finds our rebel base.
Our rebel base?
Rebel base.
Oh, well, we could be repelling.
Or rubble base. We could be rubble base.
Okay, rubble,
After
like
the
Barney.
Empire, absolutely.
How come they never made a Flintstone Star Wars? I mean, they did a Family Guy one. I mean, that could have been cool, right?
Well, Seth MacFarlane's going to do a takeover on Flintstones.
Is he really? I've heard that for years, though. We'll
he
see
means it. We'll see.
We'll
and
see
then
when
maybe
it
there will
happens.
be
That guy can't
Rock
do
Wars.
anything. No, I'm kidding. We got a lot to talk about this week.
You got distracted, didn't you? Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot going on here. This show is a lot of moving parts that you guys are.
Yeah, we're strangely stationary.
Yes, exactly. We got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to talk about some Star Wars news. We're going to talk about some SNL news. And then we're going to tell you who our Geek of the Week is. But let's get started. I think real fast before we go into our story. How was your holidays? Did you have a nice holiday?
They were very good, yeah.
Good. Do anything fun? Get nice presents?
Yes, my children gave me presents, and I gave them presents, and we saw The Hobbit in high frame rate,
Ooh.
IMAX 3D.
Awesome.
And
I have not. I don't care to.
I understand that, but I got to keep my geek cred up.
Yeah, that's cool. I had a great holiday, even though Cafe Press was not part of it. I don't want to go into it, but they nearly ruined Christmas. But
I saw that Christmas special.
Maybe we'll get them as a sponsor someday, and I'll change my mind.
Well,
I don't know. We'll see.
Hmm.
Anyways, since we have a lot to talk about, let's go ahead and get started and dive into our cover story. Hit it, boys! It's like I'm flying through the universe.
I like the explosion.
Yes. It's kind of like an explosion in your... I won't say.
No. It just,
Anyways.
It feels like the old episodes of Shazam or something.
Or when the Death Star blew up.
Oh,
segue. I did it. Thank you.
You're a master of thought.
So tonight we're talking about Star Wars because last week for some reason... And actually, Derek, we should probably stop leaning on the table. Look at what's happening here.
I thought it was an earthquake.
Yeah. Well, it was that explosion of galactic proportions.
Just get to your point.
So last week, I guess. Well, actually today and maybe I guess last week.
There's been a lot of news.
Some Star Wars
in
stuff
the
has been going on.
Universe. Yeah.
Just today, or I think announced. There's been a rumor for a while, but just recently announced one of the standalone Star Wars films was rumored today, or actually announced by one of the producers.
Confirmed. Let's say,
yeah,
from the time that Disney purchased Lucasfilm last year, they were talking about starting in 2015, there was going to be a movie a year, and they were going to begin with Episode 7, but they needed Star Wars spin-off films.
They're going to do like standalone films.
Films, spin-offs. And so there had been like people talking, young Yoda, like I really wanted to watch that.
Yeah,
it's
like
called the Muppet
Yoda
movie.
Falls in Love.
It's called the Muppet movie.
But the one they announced or confirmed today was a standalone Boba Fett movie, which got all the fanboys squeeing.
To be written by Lawrence Kasdan,
who wrote Empire Strikes Back,
yes.
which is everyone
introduced Boba Fett officially, though they're pretending that, again, the Star Wars Holiday Special never happened.
Right, because that's where we officially saw Boba Fett for the first time.
Yes.
Actually,
animated and loquacious.
Was he before? Now, we had the pictures up of him from the Holiday Special.
Very sad.
But was Boba Fett introduced in the toys first, or was the Holiday Special the absolute?
It was in the Holiday Special,
Okay.
because this is what people don't realize about the Holiday Special was it was completely designed to sell the toys. That were coming. And so the special happened, and then at the same time, Kenner released this little flat thing that said, like, you can send away for Boba Fett.
Right.
He was going to be in the sequel. They didn't even know it was Empire Strikes Back yet.
Watch this awesome guy who's going to be in the sequel, and they make the holiday cartoon,
yes.
and they give him all this backstory, and he's going to be this awesome dude, and he's in Empire Strikes Back for about how many minutes?
2, 3 maybe.
And
he has more lines in the 5-minute cartoon he appears in the non-existent Holiday Special than he has had in all 6.
And don't you
films.
think, like, okay, we've both seen the Holiday Special, right?
Yes.
The cartoon isn't terrible.
No, the cartoon's actually
Don't
really
you
good.
think it would be? It
Nelvana
would
did the
them
animation.
to like just pull the cartoon out and merchandise or
Except
sell
he's
it.
really talkative in that. They went with a different idea for how the character was.
And so they had to change
afterwards,
it.
like he just never shuts up in the cartoon.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, friend."
Yeah,
Isn't he
he's
like,
a little weird.
He's a little creepy.
He's pervy Uncle Carl.
Yeah, and he drugs them, doesn't he? He's like, "Have some of my wine."
Yeah,
he's Michael Jackson, pretty much.
He,
Jesus juice. Yeah.
It's Jedi juice.
Yeah.
Have
so
some
maybe,
Jedi juice.
maybe that's what Kasdan is going to do for this movie. Boba Fett has a large mansion that he invites young boys over, like his dad used to carry around.
And then he rides Disneyland rides. Yeah.
Yeah. And he has a monkey and a llama. Anyways,
it's an E-Salamer.
Either way, I think
that was my geek reference.
How do we feel about a Boba Fett standalone movie? How do the fanboys feel about it?
Well, what I feel is, I really.
Is there a big aside from the main Star Wars characters? Is there a bigger Star Wars character than Boba Fett?
Oh, the Gungan.
Jar Jar? Jar Jar? Really? He's bigger than Boba?
Well, certainly if you look at Facebook memes, more people want death to Jar Jar than care about Boba Fett.
What if Kasdan does that? And at the end of
Boba,
the Boba Fett
Boba
movie,
Fett versus Jar Jar?
No. Boba Fett is on this.
That'd be awesome.
He gets this crazy hit that he has to do, and it leads
Bring me
him,
the head of Jar Jar
It leads
Binks.
him to this mysterious mark he has to get. And at the very end of the movie, you realize, oh, I'm supposed to kill old Jar Jar Binks. Does it? The place goes nuts.
That'd be absolutely.
He takes off his mask. He kisses a Wookiee. I don't know. It's.
Wow. I think you went just too far. No, I think it's fine. It's just I always worry about backstory. It's like the thing is the movies never gave you enough Boba Fett. He was like cool. It's like
the prequels did.
It's like Darth a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Darth Maul was like everybody got worked up about Darth Maul, who's probably the second most popular character,
right? Besides Boba Fett,
who also dies like a punk, just like Boba Fett does.
Getting chopped in half is way better than having your backpack malfunction and driving into the side of a skiff and then rolling into sand into a giant monster's mouth. I'd rather get chopped in half, thank you.
It sucked. It sucked.
And technically, chopped in half by a lightsaber, half your body's still cauterized.
He could have,
so you could still be alive.
He could have come back on some land speeder.
I think he did on the animated series.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah, but I didn't watch Clone Wars. You were
did Boba Fett come back? No.
Well, they came.
But they're talking about doing young Boba Fett, right?
Well, I mean,
or like a prequel to.
It would be like
the early years,
the 20s in his 20s.
I think it's Boba Fett learning to bounty hunt. I think.
Well, because. If they're sticking to what Lucas had originally said, and everybody pretends that George Lucas, including George Lucas, pretends that he never said these things back in the 70s. But I was a geek and I was following everything he said. Mm-hmm. So there's supposed to be.
And he probably smoked a lot of.
Could be. Mm-hmm. There were 20 years, supposed to be 20 years between trilogies. Right. So you have a gap between not Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith.
And New Hope.
And New Hope.
Right.
So that's a lot of time for Boba Fett to be moving around. Because by the time you see him in Empire Strikes Back, he's a big enough deal that Han Solo knows who he is.
Right. Well, I've actually heard a rumor that he actually starts his bounty hunting career in Hawaii, and he has a busty blonde wife, and they call him Dogga Fett. Sorry, anyone? Dog bounty hunter? Anyone? No? Okay. Anyways... I'm excited.
Not for the last time tonight, I'll say, moron.
What?
So
the kids love it out there.
Well, I know. No, that's my catchphrase. Moron.
What? And that's my response.
I know.
Let's do it together. No, okay. We don't have time.
Moron.
What? All right. So, anyways, I'm excited, but if this is how I do it real fast. Kasdan, pull in, Sarlacc pit, it's whatever, windy, snowy,
I'd love
whatever.
the escape.
And then just have a hand pop up, he climbs up, and then it's like 20 years earlier. And then you tell his whole story.
Yeah.
And and the other thing is too,
they
said he was a clone. We don't need to get, what was the original actor's name? What's his name? The guy who played Abin Sur and Django.
Django.
You know his name. Come on, Sarlacc.
I'm totally blanking on his name.
Anyway, so
because when you say the original, I go Jeremy Bulloch. That's who played him in the first trilogy.
I'm talking about Django. Yeah,
I know.
Anyways, he's going to be too old to play Boba Fett.
But Daniel won't be.
Yeah, but Daniel is like 5'6" or something, isn't he?
So what? It's Big deal.
All right. I don't know if he's a strong enough actor.
Harrison Ford is like 3 feet tall.
I would say hire The Rock. He looks like a Maori, right? I mean, he could do it.
Yeah, but
No?
they've had issues with that. When he crosses boundaries in Pacific Islands, they get really ticked.
They get possessive of
the
their islands.
Hawaiians got really mad when
I apologize to all my Islander friends
because he's Samoan.
I still love The Rock, though. Anyways.
Oh, hey, I'm not saying I don't.
But I don't know if I want The Rock in a Star Wars movie. Anyways.
I don't.
I digress. Boba Fett movie is coming. I think it's cool. Let's see what happens. Now, another interesting Star Wars fact that came out today was actually in the San Jose Mercury News.
Or rumor.
It's a rumor.
They said it really isn't confirmation. It just the timeline works
But
out.
this is compiled by Tony Hicks from the Contra Costa Times via the Mercury News.
Right.
A rumor came out today.
Because it's all one newspaper in the
Well, yeah, they're all
States.
owned by Rupert Murdoch or something, right? Or Murdoch Rupert.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, well, he's the guy who hires Boba Fett to kill Jar Jar Binks. Anyways, it was rumored today that acclaimed gangsta rapper and famous hologram, Tupac Shakur.
Just like Princess Leia.
She's our only hope. Oh, wait, no, that's Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
Tupac Shakur, it was rumored that he potentially auditioned for a part in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace has...
Now, let's think for a second. What part do you think he auditioned for in that movie? I'll give you 3 guesses.
Do I really have to...
Was it Obi-Wan?
No.
Was it Qui-Gon?
No, that's not a guess if you're actually asking me.
It wasn't Jar Jar, because they already got another guy for that.
That was Ahmed Best from...
What rap group was he?
Stomp.
Oh, well.
Yes.
So, well, what do they call? Bring in the funk, call in the yard, or whatever?
Yeah,
I don't
something
remember.
like that.
No, he actually... Well, it's rumored or suspected that he potentially auditioned for the role of Mace Windu, which originally went to...
Samuel L. Jackson.
Sammy J. So, what do we think about this?
I think it would have been very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say. Since
Did
I've
we
never
like
seen,
him as an actor? Have you ever seen anything
I've never
he's done?
seen Poetic Justice,
Okay.
or was it Juice? Was he
was in
Juice?
Poetic Justice. I think he had like a movie with Jim Belushi that went straight to DVD or something.
I've got to say, the legend of Tupac has certainly grown, but his rap, when I've heard it, his
But could you
music
handle
with-
California Love in your Star Wars movies? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there?
I mean, the Backstreet Boys were in.
Is there a Heaven for a Jedi? That's what I want to know. These are all
This
Tupac
is,
songs.
I get what you're.
All right.
I get what you're doing. I'm just refusing to play.
Those are the
along.
only 2 I know.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay.
But I just think he had a presence, and regardless of what people feel about his music, I think he was on his way to becoming a bigger movie star.
Sure.
And I think would have been a very different kind of, a different kind of Mace. There would have been more menace to it. Like,
Sure.
Mace Windu seems angry as Samuel L. Jackson, but in a more like it's a cold anger.
But also Mace Windu was a little older and had a little more wisdom,
Right.
and a little more of authority figure. I don't know if I could see a Jedi with like baggy pants and the underwear hanging out and the
Well, they have a
do-rag
robe
over the
over
top.
it. They have a robe over it,
Oh,
so
I
you wouldn't
guess-
have seen that.
I guess that would work. Okay.
Yeah. Plus, he
Um,
was an actor.
Oh, right. But I'm just saying.
And
that'd be
actually,
would add a new
had a very
development.
thick Irish accent in real life. So all that
Really?
was a big put on. Yeah,
Wow, he is talented.
it was.
Yeah, but I mean, could you imagine like land speeders and drive-bys? You know what I mean? Like total Boys in the Hood style. Like that'd be kind of awesome, right? I mean, Ice Cube hanging out at the cantina. They don't know, they don't show, or care
Moron.
what's going on Tatooine. You know what I mean?
Earlier today I sent you a message saying, "Please don't let this turn racist."
What?
And-
That's not right. I'm just going off their past works.
okay.
But
Anyway,
in all
Jedi's in the
seriousness,
hood.
though, do you think Lucas would have stood for Tupac's off-screen antics and kind of his criminal kind of stuff? I mean, because let's be honest, Tupac
he
is
stood
gunned
for-
down in Vegas because of his gang ties or whatever.
Carrie Fisher is a
She's a
serial
drunk.
killer.
What?
But no,
Was that was never confirmed?
okay, I'm just saying
That was never confirmed.
It's a good question. I mean, well, Samuel L. Jackson was a crackhead before he
Though.
Before, so I'm just saying.
I mean,
who knows?
I don't know. It's interesting.
Who knows? He stood for Jar Jar's antics.
Did that guy have trouble off the set?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean actual Jar Jar?
Yeah.
Hey, that guy screwed up the whole Senate and everything. So
that's right. That's the thing people don't get about that trilogy is that secretly Jar Jar really is responsible for the destruction
for the
of the
rise
galaxy.
of the Empire.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's all Jar Jar's fault.
Yep.
So that they give
Bad
reason
politicians.
for him to hate.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah. So that was an interesting Star Wars thing. Now there's a big event that affects kind of the Star Wars empire.
And more of my world than
and
yours,
more
I
of your
think.
world,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But it was a big announcement last week, and you have a little more information, so I'm going to let you tell the story.
Yeah, well, last week that it was really weird. I got 2 emails in a row, boom, boom, 10 minutes apart.
Mm-hmm.
First, an announcement from Marvel Comics and I like the way they build this. Is that Disney's Lucasfilms. It's no longer Lucasfilm.
Oh,
it's
geez.
officially Disney's Lucasfilm.
Talk about the empire taking over.
Has pulled because we will sell out to them in a heartbeat.
Never.
Are you
I'll
kidding?
never join you.
There will be money. You will join. And anyway, I got this email saying that Disney's Lucasfilm out of San Francisco
I'd rather chop off my hand and jump off a bridge.
was
Anyways,
going to
go ahead.
let it can be arranged.
Okay.
It was going to that they were letting the comic book license. Actually, they didn't even say that. They said though for 20 years. I thought, wow, that's weird. It's been 20 years. Dark Horse Comics up in Beaverton, Oregon, has been doing a fantastic job with Star Wars graphic novels and comics.
Mm-hmm. But before that, though, what's the history was Marvel did it for how
but I
long?
wanted to see if
Okay,
you're
okay,
jumping
go
ahead.
ahead.
You said let me tell it.
Sorry,
And
I'm sorry.
please.
I'm sorry.
So that they were taking letting the license lapse from Dark Horse and giving the Star Wars license exclusive worldwide publishing rights, because that's the way they said it, which I didn't realize. I guess other publishers in other countries have been doing Star Wars stuff because they've been manga, I guess.
Yeah,
So
Japan,
from
big
Viz or
comic book
something.
industry, yeah.
So they were giving exclusive worldwide publishing rights for graphic novels and comics to Marvel. Now, yes, indeed, as you're alluding there, it started with Marvel, and this is funny because on the Fanboy Planet podcast, we had this discussion with Nate Costa about how the first issue of Star Wars came out 3 months before what became known as A New Hope was released, and you see like Luke is really muscular and his robe, Jedi robe, which he hasn't wearing at that point, it's open and it goes, and the cover and the cover text, and like Leia looks like she's in a coma, and Han's wearing an orange shirt and he's shooting, and you know Obi-Wan's got his lightsaber drawn and really savage. Is enter Luke Skywalker. Will he save the galaxy or destroy it?
Yeah,
and then and Darth Vader was green on that cover too.
Awesome.
So then I and then I looked on the second issue. And then it's like the cantina scene, and they're both
they
both have their lightsabers drawn, and Luke's going, "Swing that lightsaber, Ben, or we may both die."
They obviously didn't see the movie.
No, they had not seen the movie at that point. But that was like the thing is that comic adaptations, when Marvel had it the first time around, were basically crap. That's not Marvel's fault. That's what everybody did. It was just kind of like,
and it was kind of a low priority. Yeah, it was a low priority title after the movies kind of.
Because the other thing is that they what became very clear very early on was that anything they did wasn't going to be able to affect continuity. That they had no idea where the series was going. So they
had to do little fill-in stories.
So they tell the story, and then they had to figure out like in the first 10 issues after they adapted the movie, A New Hope, they had Han pay Jabba back. And then what's the plot of Empire is Jabba's
like
he's still
I
got
want
a
more.
bounty on his head, and so they had to figure out a way quickly to solve that problem. So it was.
But if you were a Star Wars fan back then, it definitely
it's what we had.
Appetite,
I mean, there's also that really bad novel in between, Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Yeah,
which was actually
Luke and Leia romance kind of.
Oh yes, I remember. It was totally slash fic.
But did we get to the story though? The story is Dark Horse losing
Dark Horse is losing.
Marvel's getting it back.
But and Dark Horse really changed the way comic book adaptation of movie properties went, and because they did a series called Dark Empire, launched with.
But Dark Empire was originally a novel, though, right?
No.
Dark Horse did it on their own.
Dark Horse, that was an original story. It was similar to there was a book trilogy that kind of revived the interest in the novels called Heir to the Empire.
Oh, okay.
And so they were kind of covering
and everything.
Gotcha. And then there's a couple of there are 3 series under the title Crimson Empire about the Red Guards,
the Royal Guards,
the Royal Guards of the Emperor.
Crimson Guards, I think.
The Crimson Guards. So. Crimson Empire or Crimson Dawn. Maybe that's what's Crimson Dawn.
There were a couple. I think we even have a couple coming up here on the package.
So and you've got some of the Marvel comics there, and that's some of the Dark Horse stuff because it's
that's like Dark Empire. There's Dark Empire.
There's Dark Empire, which I read.
And when Jedi ended and Dark Horse kind of took this stuff over,
and so Dark Horse has gone like Knights of the Old Republic is like they were the first ones to go back like 1,000 years into the history. Then they've got a book called Legacy that goes 100 years in the future.
They also did the Star Wars,
which they're in the middle of right now, which is an adaptation of George Lucas's first draft, which is very different. The characters are very different.
But basically, I think the point of it is that Dark Horse did Star Wars right. Dark Horse
they absolutely
respected the property.
You can pick up any graphic novel, and I'll guarantee you it's a fun read.
Now, how do you feel going back to is Marvel going to give the same attention to Star Wars that Dark Horse did, in your opinion?
It's really hard to say because Marvel has had an opportunity to reprint a lot of Disney stuff that Boom Studios had done, and they've done nothing with that.
Right. So all these titles that Dark Horse fans love, like Crimson Guard or whatever, all the
Legacy,
stuff we just
which
showed,
is 100 years in the
probably
future,
gone.
Could very well be. On the other hand, they have creators in their stable that like Brian Michael Bendis would probably do a great Star Wars story if he's interested in writing it.
And it also behooves Disney because if they're going to try and push new storylines cinematically, they now have books to support that, and they can tell whatever stories they want.
I think the smartest thing they could do, and I don't know if that's what they're going to do, is continue what Dark Horse started.
Let's see. That's all we
just
can hope
don't
for.
know.
All right, we got to keep moving on here. So, interesting chat. A lot of good Star Wars stuff. All you Star Wars fans out there, if you want to add anything to that, drop us a tweet at MoronLife.
Or at Fanboy Planet.
Well, then we can both read it, whatever.
Right,
Either way, hit us up on our Facebook or whatever.
It's like sandpaper.
So just drop us a line. But now we got to go to some other news that we found out. But we're going to talk about it in our Versus segment tonight. So let's kick it. Literally. Get it?
Well, I love that kick. I like to imagine that you're getting that kick.
Yeah. So today in the Versus segment, we have a little bit of news, and then we want to talk. I want to get your feedback on some stuff.
Sure.
Today, Saturday Night Live announced a new cast member. Now, the announcement of a new cast member isn't exactly the news. It kind of is, but there was some controversy this season by, what was it, Kenan Thompson kind of made kind of a public statement when the new cast members were announced for this season. There was not anyone of color that was added to the cast, and especially not a female of color.
Right.
So essentially, it was even made light of in a recent, was it Kerry Washington? Is that her name?
Yes, Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington did a sketch, and where basically Kenan Thompson was tired of dressing up in drag, and so basically he made Kerry Washington, the black female host, come on and do all the different roles, and they made light of it. So there was stuff in the news about them having to hire, a woman of color. And so basically today they announced they have hired comedian Sashir Zamata. I think she pronounces it Zamata. It looks like Zamata. I watched some of her stuff today.
I watched some of it too. It's pretty funny. Funny
she's
stuff.
she looks, and the
clever.
thing is, if you see her comedy, it's not. It's basically she's doing sketches all by herself. She's throwing out ideas.
You saw that breakup with the mirror?
No, I saw something about Home Depot and or commercials geared towards urban audiences and stuff like that. But you could tell she was
sharp writing, really, and it's her writing.
And she's definitely. You can tell she's definitely outgoing enough to where she can do it. And I think we have a potential standout star here if they give her enough to do, and not just make her play Michelle Obama.
Well, and that's always the problem,
Beyonce.
and that has nothing to do with her color,
right?
Or gender. It's just because I think that this year I haven't seen any of their new cast members at all stand out in any way.
Well, see, so that's my quick question to you. We only got a few minutes to debate this, but
sure.
Do you feel like sketch comedy or any comedy needs to have diversity? Now, you look at some of the different, like SNL, the original cast, they had, some different people.
They had Garrett Morris.
But then there were a couple years where it was all white people.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Like somebody, and I know it's not the same thing, but one I point out is that in their entire history, there's only been one bald cast member.
Who
apparently
was that?
David Koechner.
Oh, okay.
So apparently
and he didn't last long.
Apparently Lorne Michaels has a thing against bald guys too.
And then there was only one openly gay guy. That was Terry Sweeney. We just had a picture of him.
Okay. Funny guy.
But I understand now that in this day and age.
Here's my thing.
Okay.
It depends on what you're trying to do.
Okay.
So, like, I know you asked me, and we don't talk about it too often. Is I had a sketch troupe in the '90s.
You come from an improv background.
I come from an improv background. I've appeared with David Koechner. I've appeared with a lot of Phil Lamar from Mad TV. I've worked with a lot of these guys, and the thing is, like, when I had Mumbly Peg, there was a group called We Be Negroes out of Chicago.
Okay,
spelled
Heard of them.
OUI. Because they moved to San Francisco out after being in Chicago, and they're great people. I mean, great comedians. They were funny stuff. But the thing is, then everything was it was
black,
ethnic humor.
Ethnic, yeah.
Right. And so the thing is, like earlier today, you sent me a message about, like, who are the kids in the hall. Now, the kids in the hall,
no
but
women.
They're not going to do
no
ethnic humor.
Right. But there's no women. They played women. They played in drag.
The problem they had with that was that they would cast a woman each season, and then she'd get popular in Canada and wouldn't be able to come back for the next season. So they started
But I mean, I'm just saying, like,
themselves.
if you're creating sketches to where, like, even like, let's say raw sketch comedy on the stage, no props, no nothing.
Right.
You have to create a scene. You build a scene.
And I'm not going to play a black person.
Okay.
And in my day job, as a drama teacher, my students have asked me, like, could you do this act, do an Asian accent? And I said, no, because there's no way in hell, and I'm pretty, I don't know, there's no way in hell anybody's going to ask me to do that, nor should they.
But does it matter? Okay, so then I guess then the alternative is...
It's not my place to make that commentary.
Right, and with SNL being, I believe it's the highest rated scripted show on TV right now. Is that what it is?
I don't know, but it could very well be.
So basically, it's popular. It's got all eyes on it. You're going to do popular satire. You're going to need to have a diverse cast if you're going to make the points that you want to do satirically, right? I mean,
right.
So I guess I guess I'm of two minds where it's like, if you're creating art and you want to just create a sketch and whatever and let it...
There's a difference between something like Saturday Night Live and then other groups like on IFC right now, the Birthday Boys, which I think are funny.
Right.
And spun out, and then, the predecessor to that would be the
Whitest Kids You Know.
Whitest Kids You Know.
Right.
And,
well, they definitely couldn't play black kids.
And I was going to say Mr. Show, and then Human Giant, which had Aziz Ansari. It's...
But even Aziz Ansari, doesn't... he's
no,
just, and that's the thing. Exactly. Comedy is transcending that. But
that's what I think.
Anyways, we gotta jump on this. I would like to spend more time on this.
She seems talented. That's what I'd sum up. She seems talented.
She seems
I look forward
great
to seeing what they do.
Yeah, and I just hope they don't relegate her to just black woman roles. I want to see her bring her talent to this show.
Absolutely.
All right, we got to move on. We've only got a couple minutes here, and so that means at the end of the show, it's time for our Geek of the Week. Who is it this week? Let's find out.
I can't remember. No, I do.
Yes.
We argued long and hard about this.
We kind of did. Yes, exactly. All right, we got to go quick. We only got about a minute left. Our Geek of the Week this week, you wouldn't think it's a geeky thing, but pro wrestling is geeky. I'm sorry. So this week, it was announced that pro wrestler legend, 14-time world champion, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, was appeared before the San Francisco 49ers this weekend before
at the request of Kaepernick.
I think it was Harbaugh or Kaepernick. I don't know. Either way. At the request of the Niners to give them a motivational speech before their wild card championship game or wild card game against Green Bay. He came in, he did his strutting and styling and profiling. He gave a nice little speech, got the team pumped up, and what do you know? They won on Sunday. Don't know if it was because of the Nature Boy or just they played really well. But it was kind of an interesting thing that happened this week. Now, I don't know if anybody else sees the connections, but it was recently announced a couple weeks ago that WrestleMania, 31 or 2 is going to be at the 49ers Stadium in 2015. So
I did not know that.
It's potential. Maybe there's some cross marketing there, or maybe the Niners have
if
the
WWE was involved, Vince McMahon was involved. It's not potential. There was cross marketing on purpose.
So we're actually out of time now. But yes, our Geek of the Week is Ric Flair, Nature Boy. Woo! Thank you very much. Anyways, we're all out of time. We want to thank our director Rudy Loida, our assistant segment producer Dave McGuire. Thank you guys for watching another edition of Moron vs. Fanboy. I am Lon Lopez. Perez of MoronLife.com.
I'm Derek McCaw of FanboyPlanet.com.
Follow us on Twitter at MoronLife.
And at Fanboy Planet.
Thanks for watching. This is Moron versus Fanboy. We'll see you next time.